Meet Sebastian Sepulveda Roman. He was only 19 years old when he was caught in multiple unlawful acts in Orlando, Florida. However, things quickly took a turn for the worse, much worse. From a seemingly ordinary conversation with a police officer that leads to a violent shootout, a dramatic car chase, and ultimately a tragic end for this teenager, it's difficult to understand why someone would take their own life after being warned by the police. In today's video, we will delve into the heartbreaking story of Sebastian Sepulveda Roman. However, I must warn you that this video contains graphic content involving violence. Today's case takes place in Orlando, Florida, a bustling city with a population of over 300,000 people. Orlando is known for its vibrant movie culture, stunning landscapes, and delicious restaurants, attracting people from all over the country who come to visit Universal Orlando to see their favorite movie characters and enjoy thrilling rides or celebrate special occasions. However, Orlando also has a darker side, with high levels of crime ranging from minor thefts to serious crimes such as murder. Here's what the Neighborhood Scout says. With a crime rate of 44 per 1,000 residents, Orlando has one of the highest crime rates in America compared to all communities of all sizes, from the smallest towns to the very largest cities. Orlando has a significantly higher rate of violent crime compared to the national average, with a rate of 44 compared to the U.S. average of 22. Additionally, the city has a property crime rate of 81, which is more than double the national average of 35.4. This means that the police in Orlando are known to be tough and experienced when dealing with criminal activity. However, on May 28, 2022, an off-duty police officer was caught off guard during an encounter with Sebastian Roman. In the footage captured by the officer's body camera, the situation quickly escalated to sheer terror. The officer's body camera footage shows him walking through the Millennia shopping mall in Orlando when he received a call about a young man acting strangely around underage girls and making them feel uncomfortable. The person who made the call reported that the young man was likely under the influence of alcohol. The off-duty officer, who happened to be closest to Sebastian at the time, decided to investigate. However, there were already multiple issues with Sebastian's behavior, including harassing underage girls, consuming alcohol under the age of 21, and drinking in public. Despite being only 19 years old, Sebastian was well aware that his actions were against the law. The police stopped him while explaining to him that he can't have an open container of alcohol in public. The police officer asked for his ID and asked him to hand over the alcohol. He, however, told the cop that he didn't have his ID card on him and that he left it at home. Sebastian knew that he was under the legal drinking age in the U.S. and showed the officer his bottle of alcohol, which was the appropriate action to take. It's always better to be honest than to lie in such circumstances, since the consequences may be more severe if you're caught lying after your name has been run through the system. However, this was just the start of Sebastian's encounter with the officer. As the officer began writing a report, he asked Sebastian to wait in a nearby hallway. However, he wanted to ensure that Sebastian understood the gravity of the situation, so he emphasized the instructions. The police officer told him that he wasn't free to leave. The officer's decision to detain Sebastian in a hallway was the first indication that he was in distress. Being held by the police can be uncomfortable for anyone, but Sebastian seems particularly anxious about the possibility of being arrested. It's possible that he had something to hide or that he had previous encounters with law enforcement. As a 19-year-old, it's likely that he still lived with his family, so the stigma and potential conflicts with them may have been a factor. Although we don't know what the officer discovered from running Sebastian's information through the system, he shifted the conversation to focus on Sebastian's behavior towards underage girls. Approaching a girl and asking her age before anything else is unusual behavior, suggesting that Sebastian may have had ulterior motives. Shopping malls are not intended as places to pick up romantic partners, and it is particularly inappropriate to act this way with underage girls. As Sebastian continued to wait for the cop to let him go, his anxiety seemed to increase. Although he wanted to leave, he realized he couldn't simply push his luck with the officer. The video then reaches a crucial moment as Sebastian is on the verge of being released. The officer was in the process of checking his criminal record and was likely to issue him a warning. Indeed, since there were no warrants out for Sebastian's arrest, he was on the verge of getting away. The cop was about to accompany Sebastian out of the mall, and he continued to trail him through the shopping center and into the parking lot. This might have been part of a standard protocol to ensure that Sebastian didn't cause any more trouble. Sebastian, on the other hand, took a detour through a Neiman Marcus store and ignored the officer following him. Nevertheless, he was aware of the officer's presence as soon as he exited the mall, and he assured them that he was leaving. However, this was only the start of Sebastian's downfall. As soon as he was leaving, the police made a final call to him asking if he had anything on him like drugs, guns, or bombs. Sebastian said, "No, sir," telling the cop that he just had some weed though, but not anymore. The cop asked to search his bag, but Sebastian replied saying, "No, I don't think you can." With this, the cop continued to ask about the content of his bag. Sebastian proceeded to lie about it, saying, "It's a jar." Sebastian's statements could be interpreted as a suggestion that he had more than just a small amount of weed in his bag. Typically, if someone only had a small amount of weed, they would likely just admit it rather than trying to convince the officer that there was nothing more in the bag. At this point, the officer became suspicious and decided to search Sebastian's bag. Sebastian, realizing he had a stolen gun in his possession, knew he had to prevent the officer from seeing it. The cop asked him to take off his bag, and while asking him not to resist, Sebastian ran away from the cop, pulled out the gun, and fired at the officer. The officer quickly took cover in nearby bushes. The woman who sat on a bench nearby panicked and fled the area, while Sebastian ran as fast as he could through the parking lot and towards the boulevard. The officer didn't shoot back due to the potential danger to innocent bystanders. Instead, he chased Sebastian while calling for backup. It's rare to witness such intense and frightening police work in real life. Despite the officer's pursuit, Sebastian was far ahead and eventually out of sight. However, numerous police cars were deployed to search for him and had been informed of his description and whereabouts. The police car narrowly avoided hitting Sebastian, giving a glimpse into the immense pressure that comes with being a cop. Sebastian, who was standing near the police car, was shaken as he witnessed multiple officers arriving at the scene. One officer chased after Sebastian towards the Olive Garden, but the body cam footage abruptly ended. Later, another officer is seen driving towards the restaurant, and from the car, he fired 2 shots through the glass at Sebastian. The officer then leaned out and fired more shots. As many as 10 officers approached Sebastian with their firearms at the ready, but upon discovering him at the front of the Olive Garden restaurant, they realized he was already dead. His lifeless body lay on the sidewalk in a pool of blood. The circumstances surrounding Sebastian's death were still unclear, and the officers were trying to come to terms with what had transpired. One officer was frustrated by the interference of multiple voices on his police car radio while he was attempting to obtain Sebastian's description and location. Others were simply trying to catch their breath after the harrowing incident. The news of Sebastian's death and the bizarre events leading up to it made national headlines that evening. However, the cause of Sebastian's death remained a mystery. Police reported that the suspect who fired at officers had died, but it was unclear whether the officer's bullet had caused Sebastian's death. Orlando Rowland, the police chief, also spoke to the media, explaining that the police were still investigating the sequence of events and cause of death. It was unknown whether Sebastian's gunshot wound was self-inflicted, a result of police brutality, or caused by a fall. The police had to determine whether their actions were appropriate or whether excessive force had been used. It was later on revealed that Sebastian had used a stolen gun, which he had been trying to hide from the officer, to take his own life. The incident was truly shocking. Sebastian was stopped inside the mall for harassing underage girls and drinking in public while under 21. The officer was willing to give him a warning, but Sebastian panicked and escalated the situation to the point of taking his own life. Even a little amount of marijuana that the officer had seen outside the shopping mall could have resulted in a minor offense. From a simple warning to a misdemeanor arrest to a shootout and suicide, it was a tragic and heartbreaking chain of events. It is devastating to think that the situation could have been handled differently. Why was Sebastian so afraid of being arrested? Why did he put his life in danger? Hopefully, Sebastian's family will be able to heal from the shock of his untimely death. Alright guys, that wraps up our video for today. What are your thoughts on this case? What could have driven Sebastian to make such a tragic decision? Please share your opinions in the comments section, and remember to hit the like, subscribe, and bell buttons so that you never miss our other videos. Until next time, stay safe.